Welcome to my channel Sella Buzz. Two renowned guitarists, one ear-splitting quiet. What if I told you that two of the greatest rock guitarists of all time have never recognized each other's brilliance? Jimmy Page, the lead guitarist for Led Zeppelin, and Ritchie Blackmore, the fire-fingered founder of Smoke on the Water, have both revolutionized rock music. But here's the shocking truth that has been kept under wraps for decades. Despite coming from the same musical universe, Page has never once mentioned Blackmore's name as an influence in any of his public interviews. The reason for this is that the answer reveals a dark side of the music industry that will forever alter your perception of your rock heroes. Before we delve into this epic tale of rivalry, let's get to know these two titans. Jimmy Page, who was born in 1944 in Hoston, England, wasn't always the guitar god, you know. Early in his career, he was a quiet, unassuming session guitarist who played on more hit records than you can count. In fact, by the time he was 22, he had contributed to more recordings than most guitarists do in their entire careers. From the Kinks to the Who's I can't explain. Page's guitar work helped shape the sound of British Invasion before most people even knew his name. But something inside him yearned for more. When he joined the Yardbirds in 1966, no one could have predicted that he would revolutionize the rock genre. 2 years later, Led Zeppelin exploded onto the scene like nothing the world had ever heard thanks to Page's inventive techniques, pushing boundaries no one knew existed. But across town, another guitar prodigy was creating his own legacy. Ritchie Blackmore, born in 1945 in Weston-super-Mare, was the rebel who refused to follow the rules when his father gave him his first guitar at age 11. Classical music wasn't exactly what he had in mind, yet young Ritchie was forced to study classical technique with the strictest teachers in his area, a training that would later make his rock solos distinctive and almost impossible to copy. Working as a session musician alongside Page Blackmore developed a reputation for being difficult, demanding, and brilliant. His session work included playing with everyone from Joe Cocker to Tom Jones, but he always brought a unique, classically influenced edge to every recording. When he co-founded Deep Purple in 1968, everything changed. His riffs became legendary, especially the iconic Smoke on the Water, arguably the most famous guitar riff in history, recorded after the band witnessed a fire at the Montreux Casino during Frank Zappa's concert. Here's where things get weird. Throughout the 1970s, both guitarists played with similar bands, influenced similar genres, and even crossed paths multiple times at festivals and studio sessions. They shared the same producers, the same studios, and even some of the same session musicians, yet in hundreds of interviews, Page never once mentioned Blackmore's influence or talent. Think about that for a moment. Two of the greatest guitarists of their era operating in the same scene, playing similar venues, yet one refuses to acknowledge the other exists. This quiet speaks more than any criticism could, but the reason is complex and exposes unsettling realities about the inner workings of the music business. When asked about other guitarists, Blackmore was brutally honest, even criticizing Page's improvisational abilities once, saying that Page couldn't improvise his way out of a paper bag. He also never engaged in the political game that was necessary for survival in the music industry of the 1970s. In a 1976 interview with Guitar Player magazine, Blackmore publicly criticized not only Page but also Clapton, Beck, and even his own bandmates, saying, "I don't care about being liked, I care about playing what feels right." This candor made him an outsider in a field that valued conformity as much as talent. Let me tell you about the moment when Blackmore truly burned his bridges with the rock establishment. This attitude made him the most infamous lone wolf in rock, while Page rose to prominence as the industry darling, hailed by both critics and peers. He appeared on award shows, gave interviews complimenting other guitarists, and played the part of the grateful rock star. The more Blackmore defied the establishment, the more he was relegated to the periphery of the industry. However, most people are unaware that this wasn't just about personalities clashing. When Led Zeppelin was on the rise, Page made sure to give credit to other guitarists like Clapton and Beck, guaranteeing favorable press coverage and industry support. Record label executives would set up meetings between artists to generate favorable press opportunities. The 1970s music industry was based on a complex web of alliances and mutual promotion that worked like a brotherhood. Consider this astounding fact. When Rolling Stone magazine released their list of the 100 greatest guitarists in 2003, Blackmore barely made the top 50, coming in at number 55. This wasn't about talent, it was about recognition and politics. Blackmore's refusal to participate in this system effectively excluded him from the rock aristocracy. His manager once disclosed that Blackmore turned down numerous opportunities to collaborate with other famous guitarists because he saw it as selling out. Page, who is placed 9th, has been honored in every possible Hall of Fame. The irony that should make every rock fan sit up and take notice is that this same list ranked Eric Clapton at number 4, even though many critics and musicians privately acknowledge that Blackmore's technical prowess outstripped that of most of his contemporaries. The silence surrounding Blackmore's genius became a self-fulfilling prophecy. The less he was recognized in mainstream circles, the less he was remembered. Every time you hear a neoclassical metal shred, you're hearing Blackmore's legacy. His classical meets rock approach altered the way guitar solos were built, and you can hear his skills everywhere you listen to contemporary rock musicians. His unique finger technique, use of harmonic minor scales, and fusion of blues-based, pentatonic runs with classical arpeggios served as the basis for an entire genre. Allow me to offer a personal anecdote that exemplifies this. When I asked Steve Vai about his influences during a magazine interview, he readily responded that Blackmore was the father of all the methods that have shaped modern rock guitar playing. In a similar vein, Yngwie Malmsteen has claimed that Blackmore was doing what I am 20 years before me. But you won't see Blackmore in most Guitar Hero documentaries. His name seems to have been methodically removed from rock history. The rock establishment laughed when Blackmore switched to folk music with Blackmore's Night in the 1990s, but he never cared about their approval. He once said, "I don't play for critics or other musicians, I play for myself and for the people who get what I'm doing. Here's the part that should make your blood boil." Page's silence on Blackmore isn't just personal, it represents an entire industry's willingness to sideline those who don't play by its rules. This selective recognition has shaped how we understand rock history. The system that celebrated Page's every move purposefully ignored Blackmore's innovations when Marshall Amplification created their signature artist series. Page got his own model, while Blackmore, who had used Marshall amps throughout his career, was conspicuously absent from the lineup. In recent years, the silence has become even more pointed when asked about Blackmore in an interview for Guitar World in 2018. Page skillfully changed the topic to discuss vintage amplifiers instead. This wasn't just about two guitarists, it was about who gets to write rock history. This purposeful absence reveals a great deal about the unspoken rules of rock stardom. Being good isn't enough, you also need to play the game, and Blackmore wouldn't even learn the rules. Let's discuss what this means for music lovers like you. When you listen to Led Zeppelin, you're undoubtedly hearing some of the best rock music ever made, but when you listen to Deep Purple or Rainbow, you're hearing something equally revolutionary that never got its due. The difference isn't in the quality of the music, but rather in the way it was marketed to you. The way the industry treated Blackmore changed how future musicians approach their careers. Today's artists learn early on that talent isn't enough. You need the right connections, the right attitude, and the right public relations team. Blackmore's career serves as a warning to those who would prioritize industry politics over artistic integrity. As this story comes to a close, think about the musicians who have named Blackmore as their main influence: Yngwie Malmsteen, May, Brian Smith, Adrian. A different history of rock, one that prioritizes technical excellence over celebrity culture, is represented by Randy Rhoads and innumerable others. The silence between Page and Blackmore symbolizes something greater than personal rivalry. It represents the music industry's ability to shape perception and legacy. When you control who gets recognized, you control music history itself. This hidden lineage challenges the official narrative that we've been fed for decades. Moore is the quintessential rock rebel because he refused to follow this system, even if it meant that he would not receive the credit he deserved. This is the lasting lesson. Ask yourself who chose which musicians became legends and which became footnotes the next time you enjoy rock music. Whether or not Ritchie Blackmore's name is listed in industry publications, his guitar continues to fire with the same fervor as before. His music didn't need approval back then, and it doesn't need it now. Instead, It needs listeners who can get past the politics in the story and get to the core of the song. Keep in mind that the biggest musical revolution frequently occurs in silence. The next time you hear Smoke on the Water's opening riff or Rainbow Eye's eerie intro, remember that Blackmore changed the world of guitar playing without Page's approval. All he needed was his guitar, his vision, and the bravery to stay true to himself while the world tried to forget him. After all, isn't that what rock and roll was meant to be about? Keep in mind that you are listening to the creations of a guy who prioritized honesty over fame, politics, and music over wealth. His legacy will never be diminished by quiet.